My name is Chris Gideon. My stage name is Christopher.
Your stage name?
Yeah, that's my artist name. Not many people call me by that, but anyways, I'm here because I am an artist and I wanted to take advantage of projecting some of my imagery up onto the billboards, and I wanted to support the project because I think it's a great one.
Cool.
And yeah. This is my studio space. I've been working up here for a year and a half, maybe, or 2 years now. It's where I do my paintings and some of my collage work if it's on a larger scale. But this is where the magic happens. My story from the beginning is, you know, classically trained as an architect. I went through school and got my degree in architecture, got my grad degree in architecture, worked in the field for about a decade or more. I was laid off in 2008 when the economy went down, and I kind of sputtered back into the business trying to find a job here and there. Basically convinced myself that I needed to pursue this true passion of mine, which is fine arts. And so, and it's something that it's a scenario I wouldn't have created if it were up to myself. I'd probably still be doing what I was doing, but it was just a good thing. It happened that way, yeah. I've been painting for years, probably since like the late 90s, but the paintings would come so few and far between. They'd be like 3-5 years apart sometimes. And we're talking like single paintings. And but the first thing I did was I had always been keeping this sketchbook, if you will. It was actually more of a binder of sorts of imagery and sketches and ideas that I had going on. And everyone knew I wanted to do this art thing. No one quite knew where I would take it though, because I was so kind of fractured with my ideas and my thoughts and the way that I would portray them on paper and stuff. So there wasn't this kind of common thread until my illustrations hit, you know, in 2010. So the first illustration I did, it's kind of a funny story, but the first illustration I did for whatever reason was a shower scene that some people close to me might be familiar with, and if you've looked at my website you may have come across it, but it's called Standing in the Shower Thinking, but it's actually me standing in the shower taking a piss. And I don't know why that was my first illustration. That's basically launched my career as an artist as it is right now. And once I completed that illustration, I still remember getting it done and then showing it maybe to Lynette, my wife, and then later that day I think I was pulling up to my mom's house. I had to drop something off at her house, and pulling up in the driveway and being like, holy shit, my mom's gonna see this. So it was like a here we go type moment, you know? And I think I showed it in one of my first shows. For whatever reason, the curator selected that piece, and there's my mom looking at it. It's in her face, you know, and it actually went pretty well. Like, I don't think we talked much about it. It was kind of more of like a whatever, you know, type thing, but after that happened, it's like I can do anything, and I should do anything. That's why I'm here doing this, you know. Okay, so these are just some photographs of the latest exhibition over at Butter Projects. The work itself is baseball cards, and that's it. Cut and arranged into kind of collage-esque weavings. In order to display them in their purest essence, we came up with this idea where we would pin them off the wall, so they would just be kind of floating out there, very ethereal and airy and whatnot. Yeah, a lot of this work is humorous and plays off of the notion of the masculinity in sports and things of that nature. There, when I transitioned from the graphic art that I was doing over to paintings, I was starting to prime panels and things of that nature in my studio, which is in Birmingham. And one day I needed, I had a bunch of panels drying and I had nothing else to do, frankly, that day. So instead of driving home, I thought, like, what else could I spend my time doing today? And I remembered that I had a bin full of my old baseball card collection in one of the closets in my studio. So I pulled them out, grabbed an X-Acto knife, and I just started slicing and dicing, going to town. And it's become kind of like a major component of my work since then. Kind of gives you an idea of how I harvest the cards and, you know, what I find interesting in the cards themselves. But, you know, I end up with different stock. I really like this stock here. This is from 87 Topps, and I've used it pretty extensively so far. But it's kind of has a wood grain to it, and I've been meaning, you know, to do this panel that's actually a basketball court, like a parquet floor, out of baseball cards. So you'd have this cross-pollination of sports that have nothing, you know, to do with each other. But so yeah, just colors and whatever comes to mind. I mean, it goes on and on. Like I was saying before, I recognize these common threads throughout baseball cards, I guess, themselves, and in terms of their graphic layout. And this series in particular had a gradient that would go from one color to the next. And I found that if you put those elements of, you know, multiple cards together, you could form the whole spectrum. And so I stripped the cards of those elements and then condensed them down, I guess you could say. That's kind of like I work things out a lot of times digitally. I'll use some of my architecture background. I use architectural drafting softwares to kind of refine my imagery. I usually start out with photography, and then I'll like do a mashup of the photography. And when I have kind of the composition I want with the photographs, I'll take them in and sometimes trace them or use them as a base for my architectural drawings, where I'll draw over top of them and create a vector line drawing. And that vector line drawing I bring into like an Illustrator program that I can colorize and find the color combinations that I like. And then from that I take it backwards a step and into the painted medium. So it's kind of like a regression back to a more primitive form. I'll come over and work on this a little bit, and then I go back to doing that, and then I change hats and change masks, and you know, I feel like I'm two different people sometimes when I'm doing the two different types of work, but it's something that I guess keeps me sane. I think that this is what keeps me sane, and the painting is what keeps me insane. And as long as I'm doing both, I'm just here.